Coming up on the Fish Hunt Forever podcast.
Under the current baiting law, food plots are not bait.
They get insurance for it. That becomes considered a baited field for waterfowl.
It's different because it's now down there and more, I guess, readily accessible and scattered about.
This is the Fish Hunt Forever podcast, formerly Sporting Journal Radio, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. All right, welcome to the show. I'm Bret Amundsen. That's Dan Amundsen over there. Deer baiting. Hi, Dan.
I'm not deer baiting. No. Dan is not deer baiting. No.
Let's just clear things up a little bit.
Dan is not deer baiting.
Because that's what we wanted to do this week. We have a couple of conservation officers.
We did not want to deer bait.
No.
Just clearing that up, too.
We wanted to clear up the deer baiting laws.
That's better.
When it comes to, say, mowing corn food plots. Lieutenant Wayne Hatlestad and Lieutenant Dustin Miller, Minnesota conservation officers, will join us. We're going to pepper them with some CO questions and try to get some clarity on a few things. Not just deer baiting, but some waterfowl stuff. Also pheasant hunting in ditches, what's legal, what's not, shooting off the edge of public and private land. We'll talk about all of that coming up later in the show. Dan, also, you were successful this deer hunting season.
I was, and I'm sad because I'm going to break the fourth wall down. Okay. We talked to the game wardens already, so we're doing the intro after we've talked to them. If that's all right with me breaking that fourth wall down.
Sure.
I'm just looking through my button bar. Why did I not use these buttons?
Also jail.
So jail, straight to jail.
Right to jail.
I have all these buttons. Why did I not, sorry, if you're listening to the show, I didn't use one of them. I should have waited till next week to say this, because I'm just sad. So in your head, when we talk to those guys, count how many times I could have used these buttons.
Right to jail.
So anyways, but yeah, I shot a deer this weekend.
Also, Dan, this is like your 6-year anniversary of being on this show.
Well, kind of. Yeah, you had me on the show for the first time because of something I did 6 years ago today. I did that interview for free. You're welcome. I sacrificed my dignity for it because 6 years ago today, there was like 8 inches of ice on Upper Red Lake, and we had the day off. I was in college up at Bemidji State. We had the day off from class. We said, hey, let's go ice fishing. We did, and I didn't upload any pictures. I'll try to find them on my Facebook page here.
All right.
But we needed some help getting off the ice because a crack decided to blow away.
What? On Red Lake?
Yeah, that never happens. So, we had the good old fire department come out, and we didn't call them, but yeah, they came out and floated us across this crack, and we made it back safely. So now when we do our fire department training every year for early ice stuff, and I put on those cold water suits, I just waiting for the time where I get my payback and I'm that guy standing in the water because someone decided to go ice fishing too early. So, but yeah, then you had me on the show 6 years ago after that. So I remember sitting in the parking lot of Bemidji State on the phone with you.
And the rest is history.
I've known you my whole life, and it only took me floating away on a lake and needing help off to get to go on your radio show.
Now, that's 100% not true.
This radio show anyways.
Okay,
yes, I know.
clarify.
I got to sit in Linton, North Dakota with you at like 8 years old. And
Find that picture.
I don't know where that one is.
Oh, we'll be able to find it somewhere.
Yeah, doing classic rock radio. 8-year-old, that's exactly what everyone who's listening to 80s and 90s wants to hear, is an 8-year-old who wasn't even born when the music they're listening to is out.
Oh, gosh, what year
Great
was
times.
It? I'll see if I can find it anyway.
2007 or 2008, somewhere in there, because, that's how old I am.
I'm not sure I had Facebook back then, so I probably added it afterward. Maybe I did, actually. Oh, no, there it is right there. I just found it. All right.
Never. This is my first time.
Can I share my screen, or how do I do this?
Yeah, you can.
All right.
Sorry, this is your first time.
Yeah, apparently.
This is exactly what everyone who tuned into this show wanted to listen to. Dan on the radio fan line.
Here you go.
Hang on. There it is. Pheasant hunting.
First time you're on the radio, Dan?
Did you have your long hair there?
I had no hair.
Oh, you had no hair. Yeah.
Can I zoom in on this? Oh, yeah, there we go.
Look at that. And you look so confused and concerned. Like, what am I doing with my life? This is where my career has led me, interviewing my 8-year-old nephew. I have that hat upstairs still, by the way.
Which hat is it?
It's a Cabela's orange hat.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, good times.
What do you think we were talking about there?
Oh, who knows? I probably didn't know how to give an answer more than one word. And I remember the waitress offered me free ice cream there.
Oh, yeah.
I was hanging out with you.
And thus began Dan's
That's where it started. It's your fault.
obsession with ice cream.
It's your fault.
All right. Well, we should run through the sponsors and then get into this show.
All right. Yeah. Dan Radio Fan Line is brought to you by Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan an ice fishing trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Onyx Hunt, 3 private land boundaries, offline maps, and more. Take 20% off a new membership with the code SJR20. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort, Fish Devils Lake this winter out of a snow bear. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Tasman Lake Lodge, catch world record lake trout and giant pike. It's Saskatchewan's Tasman Lake. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. Prairie Sportsman, you can watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel or check your TV guide for rerun times. And Trails End Outfitters, trophy bear, walleye, and whitetails in Saskatchewan. Visit trailsendoutfitters.com.
Go see our good friend Barry Prawl and Jeremy Hancock up there, actually, and do some whitetail hunting like I got to do last year along with Danny Thompson. Got a brand new video that's going to be coming to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. Here's a little sneak peek. Just shot my Saskatchewan whitetail. Nice big buck.
I've been coming to Trails End for 21 years. It's great hunting. I enjoy it, and it fit my lifestyle.
All right, there you go. See the full video coming to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel very soon. Hopefully.
This week?
Hopefully. I hope so. I'm almost done with it.
Sweet. That's got to be the
so
fattest whitetailing I've ever seen, that one in that video.
Those deer are so big. Like some of the racks aren't, maybe, they might be some smaller racked deer, and there's big ones, but the bodies on all those deer up there, they're just big.
Yeah. Cool country to go hunt and explore.
Love it. It's funny that you brought up 6 years ago today was when you had to get rescued off Red Lake and there was 8 inches. Think about it. Like there's no ice on Red Lake right now.
It's like some shoreline ice starting a little bit.
Some of the smaller sloughs where we are have frozen over. A lot of them actually started to open back up this week as the weather warmed up. The wind picked up. It opened a lot of those back up. It's weird to me. Like I've we've been totally frozen at the beginning of November. I remember 10, 12 years ago, I think it was November 7th when Lac Parle froze over, and that was kind of it for the water for the majority of the waterfowl season. We did have some Canada geese that we could shoot late season. Of course, there's always a few mallards around with the river systems that we have out here, but I'm not ready for it to be frozen yet, Dan. Like I'm still in waterfowl mode. I feel like we still got a lot of good hunting left. And in fact, you shot, technically, I guess, a blue-winged teal the other day.
Yeah. So we had 2 come in. I was so disappointed in it because they came in and they landed like teal like to do before you can really realize what's going on. And
yeah.
I saw the drake sitting there. It was on your side. And I looked at that bright white crescent that we never, ever see in Minnesota because teal usually don't stick around through November. Although this is now 2 years in a row that we've shot a blue-winged teal in the middle of November.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, but I thought all the teal left before our regular duck season and started in September. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I was so sad to watch that drake fly away because that was your one chance at a wall-mounted drake.
Yeah.
We had a gorgeous sprig pintail fly right through and get 6 shots put at it and fly away.
You had that wall-mounted widgeon that you shot?
Yeah. So these... So there's mallards off in the distance, and we'd shot a couple mallards earlier, and they responded to calling really well. So like this one hen, we just had to hammer on this one hen. I don't know how long we could see it. We're calling at it, and it's coming, and all of a sudden it sets its wings. It's about to shortstop. It's like 100 yards. We hammer on it, and okay, it picks up and flies a little closer. Now it's 50 yards away, whatever. And it sets its wings. It's about to land. Like, no, come over here. And it's like, oh, okay. Floats over like a beach ball, and we drop that. So then every duck now we see, we were just like that one guy on public land who won't stop on his duck call.
It was working.
It was. It's so we've got like 3 flocks at a half mile away. Probably not. They weren't that far away. But either way, they're
6 miles away. We were quacking.
They're out there, and all of a sudden these 2 ducks just shoot right over our shoulder. I'm like, 2 right side close. and they come over, get into the decoys, and I swear to you, I saw the whitest cotton top and like the most beautiful widgeon head I've ever seen in my life. And I pull up, shoot that one, and you shoot the other one, and I fist pump like, dude, that's a wall mounter. I'm jacked. Like, this is sweet.
Yeah.
Send a new duck off to the taxidermist, and Tiny goes and gets the one. I walk out and get the other one, and I pick it up, and sorely disappointed.
Yeah, it worked out perfect. These two ducks came in, did it absolutely right. You dropped the one on the right, I dropped the one on the left. I might actually have video. I haven't checked to see if the GoPro actually worked, but they did it perfect. But I got a good look at both of them. And after they both hit the water,
I thought I did too.
You looked over at me and goes, that might be a wall mounter or whatever.
That's a stud.
Yeah, and I'm like, were we looking at the same ducks? And I know the way the sun was hitting them, there was some lighter patches and so I was like, all right, well, I guess maybe I didn't see it right because there were some shadows and things at play.
You're colorblind.
I could see white, but to be fair, I was focused on the bird on the left, and so maybe I just missed it. And it's just we knew they were widgeon.
Yeah, I swore I just saw like you could picture it, just that green and that white, and I swear that is what I saw. I think I shot it right off.
It's funny, there were so many mallards around, and last time we were in a situation like that, we shot all drakes, and then we were nearing the end of the day, and there was one hen, and I'm like, you know what? I want another duck to eat, so I'm going to shoot this hen. And then we had mallards. We were done, and we had mallards landing in our decoys, drakes, nice green heads. So yesterday I was like, all right, 2 hens, first ducks in the decoys, 2 hens land and are swimming in the decoys. We're like,
let's let them go.
Let them pass.
Yeah.
And we did not shoot 8 drakes yesterday.
No, we started shooting shovelers. It was a really fun mixed bag, actually. We had a shoveler, blue-winged teal, widgeon, and mallards.
Yeah.
We could have had a pintail, really nice one, probably nicer than the one over my shoulder here, and should have had a really nice, in my head, we should have had 3 wall-mounted ducks.
Yeah.
Well, realistically, only 2, but who knows? Actually, maybe there wasn't a crescent on that blue wing, and
I think there was.
Maybe that pintail was ahead. I don't know. And that trust me anymore.
That blue wing did not fly away super strong, and I don't know if it was just because it's a teal and
it was bucking a lot of wind.
A lot of wind. We shot the hen, so it was like, oh, where'd my lady friend go? Okay, you shot the hen. All right, let's not get technical here. Nobody cares.
You have to. You can't party hunt ducks. Otherwise, it is
right to jail.
It's right to jail. We had some green wing teal that buzzed through too. So it was I haven't shot a mixed bag of ducks like that in a while. Especially that was the first widgeon I've shot in a while.
Yeah, it's fun. Years. There wasn't like a pile of ducks, but there was a lot of ducks up there, enough to keep things interesting for the next couple weeks. So yeah, I'm excited. I've got about a week and a half left of my duck season, probably, unless I decide to travel down to the southern zone of the state or travel out of state. But now that I've shot a deer, I can focus on some ducks for a little bit until I decide I want to shoot another whitetail somewhere.
Right. I was just all excited to we came in from the duck hunt and we had a clean birds, which we plucked all our ducks, by the way.
So good. Gosh,
and the duck legs. I'll tell you what,
November
Dan,
ducks are so tasty.
We should talk about this real quick too, because I don't mind duck legs, but you've got cooking these mallards down to a science, and you've got these duck legs cooked better than I've ever had them before. And now honestly, I'll eat the leg first before I get into the duck breast. And a mallard duck breast, late season, skin on mallard duck breast is my favorite. Do you want to talk about how you cook? Have we talked about this on the show?
I'm sure we've probably mentioned it, but I can touch on it briefly. So it's so freaking simple. Whether you breast these ducks out or what we've been doing with these mallards now, it's not a true spatchcock, but it's pretty similar. Right. So I'm leaving the skin on. This is the most crucial part. You pluck the feathers off, leave the skin on, even if you're not plucking the whole duck. So then I start, taking the breast off the breastbone. It's like you normally would, but I also go down to that leg. So pluck all the feathers off the leg, and you can grab the leg and kind of pop it out of the socket there. Mm-hmm. So it's free. You don't have to cut any bones. You don't need snippers or anything. So you pop that out. And so you start working your way down. You peel the meat off the breastbone and you go all the way down, and you're going to have to cut some of that skin and work around. So you're leaving that leg and the breast attached by the skin.
Right.
So you pull it out like that. And so you have a breast and a leg all again attached by the skin. Dry it off. You don't really need to rinse it unless it's super bloody. I'll flip it over and kind of cut if there's any gross stuff out or some of that silver skin. Although even some of the silver, there's like one little patch of silver skin on a mallard that sometimes I haven't even touched and I haven't really noticed it in there. You can if you want to. It's probably recommended to get rid of that. And then I'll take it in, I'll dry it, and then I season it. And salt, pepper, garlic. You found some maple bourbon type thing. Really anything you'd use to season a steak with. It comes down to salt, pepper, and garlic. It's pretty easy. Heat up a cast iron pan. Cast iron is important for this. And you heat that up. Use butter or beef tallow is what we've been using, but butter works too. Get the pan nice and hot. And, after your bird is seasoned, you're going to drop it in. I drop it in skin side down first. And I'm leaving it on there for 4, 5, 6 minutes. You want that skin to get crispy. I think the mistake people make with skin on ducks is not cooking that skin either hot enough or long enough. You're not really going to overcook the duck when you've got the skin on. You might burn the skin, and if you do, that's fine because you can take that off. The meat's still going to be really good. That skin will hold in.
It's interesting that you say that too, because it's very important not to overcook duck.
The duck.
So I've gotten nervous about it so many times trying to get that skin crispy that I'm overcooking the mallard. So I'll actually pull it out sometimes and be like, oh, it's got to be done. Like that skin is black. It looks like it's, black and burned, whatever. And then you'll cut it open and be like, oh no, this actually could go a little bit longer.
So here's where I have zero fear of overcooking. And it's such a simple thing. Buy a good meat thermometer.
Right. Get
a digital meat thermometer with a probe that has a cable, because I also use the oven with this sometimes. So if I don't, I'm cooking it skin down. I get that skin nice and crispy. Then I'm flipping it over, and now I'm using a timer, 1.5, 2 minutes to sear that other side. And I'm going to check it with a thermometer. I'm shooting for 130 degrees. If it's not at 130, I'll check the smallest piece first. If that's at 130, I pull it off. Check the next one. If it's at 130, pull it off. The ones that aren't, once both sides are seared, are going in the oven. I take that cast iron pan, I throw it right in the oven at 350 degrees. So preheat your oven while you're cooking them. You finish them in the oven. If you have that thermometer with a probe with a long cable, thermometer stays right in the meat. You don't set a timer on your oven. You wait till that thermometer goes, oh, we're at 130. You pull it out, check the next one, and leave them in as long as you can. But you would have to work really hard if you left a bird skin side down in the frying pan. Like I said, you might burn the skin, but you're going to have to work really, really hard to overcook that duck cooking through the skin. So a lot of times I end up having to finish those in the oven, and that's perfect because you get the nice sear on each side. Those juices hold in, and it is oh so delicious.
So there's a couple of things that you mentioned there that I think make the difference, and one is that thermometer.
You need a thermometer.
I don't know how many times at duck camp or whatever, and you guys are sitting around drinking 100 beers, and they're like just throwing it on a grill or in a pan or whatever, and then you're just like, I'm cooking duck.
Yep.
And then you're like, yeah, that looks pretty good. And sometimes it's way undercooked, and usually it's way overcooked. Not only that, but the fact that you will check the smallest piece and pull them. Like that, I think, is an important part when you want to make sure that you don't overcook duck. And sometimes you've got teal and mallard kind of going in the same thing. So you can have smaller pieces and larger pieces. Some are going to have more fat. Some might have the skin. Some might have got shot up, so you take the skin off of it. Being able to pull it out when one piece is done, even though the rest aren't, that I think is an important part of what you're doing. And then I wrote notes about what I was going to say here, and I can't read it. But those, and then finishing it in the oven, and then you actually, we were talking about it when we were eating it. I think it was last night that it's almost like blackened duck the way you're doing it, because that seasoning is kind of burning and crisping on that skin. It's delicious. It's so good.
And I'll tell you what, I do my venison the same way. I do beefsteak the same way. The one time a year I have a beefsteak. A cast iron pan and oven, salt and pepper and butter or tallow is all you need to cook red meat. And that thermometer. Buy a freaking thermometer. Freaking thermometer. I shouldn't even say that on the radio.
You're going to be okay, Dad. It's all right.
It's like, I don't know. That's the ticket. They're $20 for a half decent one. And you have to learn this thermometer too a little bit. You can't just cook something and, the recipe says 135. Some thermometers don't read 135 the same way the guy who wrote the recipe His thermometer reads 135.
And where you place that thermometer is key too, because I don't know how many times I've had a thermometer read 130 and then I'll cut into something and it's clear. Like I had the thermometer too far down close to the pan at the bottom. Or
well, yeah, you can't hit the thermometer. It's going to freak out. And you can't do the end either. Right. Or just barely stick it in. You got to get it in the middle or however you want. So
we cleaned those ducks. You started cooking them. We got all excited. The Wild were playing. We just had a great day. And then we completely got derailed by the Northern Lights show.
Yeah, I was ready to get in, go to bed, and do this show, and that didn't happen.
No, a couple of nights of Northern Lights this week. It sounds like as we're recording this, I think it's supposed to happen again tonight. But last night it was great. We got a couple of videos, maybe that Dan will fire up here for you. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of see it. And this one, it builds kind of slow, but then watch the reds coming over the tree on the left, and then the whole screen will light up and it moves to the right, and you can actually see like a satellite coming through under the right tree at some point. I must have missed it already. That's one of the, here's another one of the videos. It was unreal, the reds that were in those Northern Lights. If you're on any sort of social media, you saw 1,000 pictures and videos like these.
That's 300 miles south of the Canadian border.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. All right, so we've got a great show. We got Joel Henry is going to talk Lake of the Woods and deer hunting, talk about his deer hunting experience, because that's what everybody's doing right now. But there are a few guys fishing Lake of the Woods. We'll tell you where they're at and what they're doing and how they're doing coming up later. Plus, we have 2 conservation officers. I'm pretty excited about this. Lieutenant Wayne Hatlestad and also Lieutenant Dustin Miller would join us to just clear up the deer baiting thing with mowed food plots, mowed corn lanes, shooting lanes and stuff in your food plots. What can you do? What can't you do? And why are the rules that way? They'll explain it. And then we're just going to kind of dig into some other rule and trespass regulations with these guys as well. So thank you for them coming on. This segment brought to you by Tasman Lake Lodge, Northwest Saskatchewan, trophy lake trout and northern pike. Go to tasmanlake.com for more information. It doesn't get much better than fresh perch and fresh walleye. If you're looking for an exciting winter fishing destination, come to Devils Lake, North Dakota. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort is on the ice with a fleet of snow bears, keeping you mobile and warm so you can stay on the roaming schools of fish. Haybale Heights on the east end of Devils Lake has knowledgeable guides, comfortable cabins, and their own lake access, making your trip as successful and stress-free as possible. To book your trip, go to haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. All right, there's been an interesting discussion recently about a hot topic when it comes to baiting in the big game world, also the waterfowl world here in Minnesota. So I asked the Minnesota DNR, hey, can we get a couple of COs on the show to just kind of clarify things and talk about it and discuss what's legal, what's not legal, what should you do out there, what shouldn't you do. So with us right now, Lieutenant Wayne Hatlestad and Lieutenant Dustin Miller, conservation officers here in Minnesota. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm sure doing media interviews is the favorite part of your favorite part of your job, I'm sure. So I appreciate you coming on. And this is something, even guys like us who hunt a lot and we're in the media, so we're paying attention to things. And every once in a while something comes up. It's like, well, what is the rule on that exactly? Because you can feel like there's some gray areas sometimes, and some things are, I feel like, maybe up to interpretation. So just to get a little bit more discussion going and allow you to talk about what the rules are when it comes to deer baiting, I wanted to have you guys on to talk about that. And so we're going to discuss what you can do, what you can't do, what's been talked about out there. But before we get into all of that, I love being able to talk to COs, because you guys see sometimes you probably just have mundane, normal checking licenses days. What's the most common question you guys get as a CO?
We get a lot of questions about just generally it follows the season that's coming up at the moment. So last week was a lot of big game deer questions, particularly. People are interested in what the harvest, deer permit area limit is, and how they can use bonus tags. That tends to be a hot topic, because we got a mix in the southern region. We have a mix of lottery permit areas, hunter's choice areas, managed, and even 3 deer areas. So we get a lot of questions on the use of deer permits and deer licenses and how they can work their tags, and we get questions about party hunting fairly regularly, and it almost changes as the seasons change. So once we get through deer hunting, then we'll get some muzzleloader questions, and then we'll get back into the end of our waterfowl and our pheasant seasons, and then right back into ice fishing, spearing, and our other activities. So.
Oh, did we just lose Wayne?
We did.
Just lost Wayne. He got a call.
Oh, there he's
back. Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No problem. So just kind of some of the typical stuff. Anything like Dustin, you ever get a weird, how about that? You ever get a weird question that you're like, really? Man, I never thought I'd get asked that.
Yeah. I mean, we do get a lot of, I don't want to say odd questions, but I think it's questions that people who do their due diligence and dig into, can we do this? Can't we do this? Come up with some unique situations that they provide to us that are maybe even eye-opening to us, that we do our best to, I guess, assist and answer questions on. And, there's question, down in the southwest part of the state, we get mule deer, for example, that'll come across from South Dakota, and people, we had an incident recently where mule deer buck was on camera, and a person had contacted us and made us aware of it, and of course was asking if they could harvest that animal. And it's just obviously not a typical and common call or a bit of information we get, but it does come through. So that's just some of the information we get. And I think with the public, what the public sometimes doesn't understand is how important and vital they are to us, to helping us do our jobs. Our officers across the state, we have huge areas that we patrol and that we respond to, and the public is just an incredible asset to us with our efforts that we have on a daily task with just protecting resources. And this time of year, the activities we see with the deer hunting activity being kind of at the peak right now, it's another set of eyes out there that assist us with our duties.
Sure. Well, what is the rule if a mule deer comes over?
So as far as in Minnesota, you're legally allowed to harvest a mule deer. It doesn't specify what type of deer you can or can't harvest.
Antlered or
in
not.
Statute, whether it's white tail or mule deer, it's
sure,
so you would be legally allowed to.
What about a pronghorn, like in a pronghorn antelope, but if something like that? Because I know every once in a while you've heard of them up in the Northwest or something like that.
We actually had a moose shot, I guess.
Go ahead, Wayne.
My understanding is we had a moose shot up in the northwest part of the state by a deer hunter, assuming or believing it was a deer. In the past, we've had elk, so I guess each situation we're going to treat differently. But if it's anything other than a deer, we would probably be seizing that animal and trying to figure out how to handle whether there was some intent or not.
My gosh. I mean, unless that moose was a long ways away, we've been, we know a lot of guys up in Alaska and Saskatchewan, that shoot moose, and we've spent some time around moose up there. The size difference in those animals, even an elk and a whitetail. I know, low light and at distances, I guess, but man, a moose, holy smokes, those things are huge. And I just want to say too, I've had conversations with people. And your line of work, it's kind of a thankless job, and, every job has some of those bad apples in it, and you hear those stories, and it can paint every CO in a bad light at times. But, and I'll always tell those people, hey, you get rid of them and our hunting and fishing is going to get real bad, because people don't follow the rules a lot of times. And if there's no consequences or no people checking on them, things are going to go south in a hurry. So I just want to throw that out there. I think it's important that you guys are out there doing this and making sure that people are following the rules. Now, we can talk about whether or not we agree with the rules, but when it comes to the rules, you have to follow them, because that's what's out there, and that's what you guys are out there enforcing. So it's important work. And I wanted to ask you about trespassing a little bit too when it comes to private land, because this has come up a little bit recently. The rules are the way they're written. It's that if the land is unposted, it's not agricultural land, that if you go on it, the landowner just has to tell you to leave, and then you can't come back for a year. So why isn't it just written to be, and maybe, this is probably not a question for you guys, but why is it considered legal then to go on that? Or is it just like, hey, you just have to leave. It's not legal, but if you do it, we can't do anything. It seems like a weird way that rule is written.
I can touch on that. So Minnesota trespass law basically breaks the land into two different types. It breaks it into agricultural property, which includes, the standing fields, the tilled fields, the hay fields, the tree farms, and also includes our grasslands that are enrolled in programs like CREPC or CRP or RIM. So all of those types of properties, including like pasture land, are considered agricultural property and don't need any signage for an outdoor recreator to get in some type of trouble for trespassing. So everything else other than agricultural property, which is our grasslands that aren't enrolled in those programs, our woods that aren't tree farms, our wetlands, those types of properties, to legally be posted to keep outdoor recreators off of them or out of them, are required to be posted on the corners and access points with a sign stating such, and either signed and dated or name and address on the sign. So that's a critical part, because we've had some issues with posting being updated and legally signed, i.e. like the back corners of properties and such. So it is important, if landowners don't want people on their property, that they read the trespassing requirements and post it as such. So I don't know if that's going to be subject to discussion this next session or not, but that is the current status of our trespass law.
I just don't understand why someone feels like it's private land, I'm just going to go on there anyway. Like, why doesn't it come down to some personal responsibility to just not go on private land? It just seems like it's weirdly written, in my opinion, but maybe that'll change. One other question: in western Minnesota here, you guys are in southwest part of the state. When it comes to pheasant hunting in ditches, what are the rules regarding hunting ditches for pheasants?
Dustin, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So as far as the properties and access points on township roads, county roads, state highways, the ownership varies, where the ownership of that private land can extend to the center of a roadway, and that does vary county by county, township by township in some instances, just based upon how that ownership took place when the properties were purchased. And so we give our hunters, I guess, the direction that the best point of contact for that kind of information is typically a county engineer or somebody within that county highway department per se that would have that information. When a WMA, for example, is up next to a township road, typically that ownership extends into the center of the roadway. And the small game laws differ from the big game laws, where you can legally hunt within the road right of way for small game, in comparison to our big game laws, such as deer, where you'd be prohibited from hunting within those road right of ways. And it's more advantageous for us to deliver that information to these hunters in regards to the ownership understanding, and the difference that does exist between our big game and small game, and the ability to actually to hunt those ditches in certain cases for pheasants.
So that brings up an interesting point. So let's just say it is legal in certain, we're on an area where it is legal for somebody to do that. But if that pheasant gets up and then flies over that property line where it's not the road right away, the public road right away anymore, go onto private land, that'd be bullet trespass then, right? If they were going to shoot at that pheasant that's flying over private land out of the ditch, they would have to shoot before that bird flies over public land, over the private land boundary then, is that correct?
Correct.
So it'd be a pretty narrow window.
It is, and that's that's the hunter's responsibility, as far as ensuring that you're taking a legal and ethical shot, and also understanding at the same point that you have to legally retrieve that animal and be able to do so in a legal manner.
All right. Well, and I just wanted to hit you with a couple of questions before we get into the deer baiting situation, because that's been the biggest topic of the old internets these days and the social media. So we're going to take a quick break. We have more with the COs, Lieutenant Wayne Hatlestad and Lieutenant Dustin Miller, coming up right after this. Sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal win for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. All right, we're back talking with Lieutenant Wayne Hatlestad and Lieutenant Dustin Miller, Minnesota Conservation Officers. Thanks, guys, again for being on the show. I wanted to have you on to talk deer baiting because it is the deer season. It's the biggest, it's got to be the busiest week of the year for you. Of course, I always tell people whitetails and walleyes, number one, really, in the state of Minnesota. Everybody likes to do it, and everybody's got an opinion on how they should be managed and how they should be hunted and what you can use. We won't even get into live scopes or trail cameras here on the show, but I want to talk about deer baiting because that's been a current topic. So first of all, you'll have people, when it comes to like this mowing of food plots, you'll have people that say, well, a food plot is baiting in general. Explain, maybe Wayne, if you want to start, explain why a food plot is not considered baiting.
Generally, like if you read anything on like USDA or Minnesota Extension, they talk about adding food plots as supplemental to native habitat. So a food plot is not considered bait because the crop is planted in the spring, typically allowed to remain until the following spring, until it's tilled up or removed and replanted. So under the current baiting law, food plots are not bait, but there is some exceptions to manipulating or scattering or distributing the grain that's within the food plot. So at this moment, food plots are not considered baited.
Right, and so that brings I want to talk about mowing here in 1 second, but before we get into that, when it comes to food plots, then so it's basically just something that's planted in the spring that grows, and then it's just essentially left in its natural state. It's not altered in any way. Then that's basically how it works with food plots.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, it's there for the benefit of the animals that it's planted to feed, and it's there for essentially until the crop the ground is tilled and replanted the next year, typically.
So when it comes to mowing, I'm sure some of these hunters out there, when they mow a lane in their food plot, say it's standing corn, it's to mow a shooting lane. Now, if they were to run through there with a combine and actually pull that grain out when they mow those trails or those shooting lanes, that would be considered legal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you remove the crop, then there is no issue. The lane that the combine thus creates would be clear or clean of any grain. There wouldn't be anything scattered or left about.
Because that's the difference when you mow it or knock it down. You're just putting grain on the ground. Well, what about the people that tell you, well, what's the difference if I have corn on the cob on the stalk versus corn on the ground? The deer are just coming to eat it anyway. What do you tell those guys?
The statute is pretty specific. It talks about placing. It talks about exposing, it talks about depositing, and it talks about distributing, and it talks about scattering. At the point where, a mower blade or a chopper or anything of that type of device that hits that stalk, it is then scattering or distributing or placing or distributing that grain that is not normally on the ground and available to these animals. So that is the opinion and the stance that the DNR has taken on this interpretation, and it's different because it's now down there and more, I guess, readily accessible and scattered about.
Well, I always tell people that a guy could just go there every day and just start dumping buckets of corn each day and saying, oh no, that was from when I mowed. that's where that corn came from.
To touch on what Wayne is talking about, it's important to, when it comes to the statute, in our baiting statute, to understand that in reading it in its entirety, there's specific words that are, incredibly important that are related to agricultural crops and understanding what is normal and accepted farming practices. And there's, instances we can discuss that maybe aren't even mowing, that maybe somebody drives an ATV or rolls their food plot that's currently corn to create shooting lanes. There's a variety of ways that a person can create shooting lanes. So it's important to understand that the fact that that's happening is essentially distributing, scattering, and manipulating that crop that's been planted as, in this case, we'll say corn, that's a food plot to help these deer winter, to help them, essentially survive. And when you start throwing practices like that out there, it's not a normal or accepted practice that the USDA would recognize.
So with that being said, when it comes to waterfowl, we've had some situations where hailstorms knock out some corn. Farmer ends up just knocking it down, maybe just tilling it under, whatever the case may be. And that seems to be something that happens fairly frequently with some of these particularly more severe storms. Is that then considered a normal farming practice? Because the way we understand it, if a farmer then just knocks his corn down, because that's what they do, they dig it under, they get insurance for it, that becomes considered a baited field for waterfowl. But some people will say, well, that's what farmers do with that. Why is that not considered a normal farming practice?
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife puts out the baiting guidelines, and they give various scenarios to situations such as that. So the difference, I guess, in my interpretation is that when a storm or natural disaster comes through and destroys a field, the farmer, has some type of claim for hail loss or whatever, and then ends up turning that field under because it's not something to harvest. That is where the feds interpret it as not a normal harvest or agricultural function. We've had similar situations relating back to the deer baiting stuff where we've had, and I'll use the one example that comes to mind is a larger pumpkin type patch where the crop is not all needed or used. It's left in the field as green manure essentially, and the interpretation or the opinion of the DNR is that it's not baited for the purposes of deer unless you would collect up, reposition, place those pumpkins for the purposes of deer hunting. So the difference is that as far as the deer is just our interpretation of normal agricultural practices, and the feds have the interpretation that at the point where that crop is not harvested and put under, that it is baited until that crop is completely under in 10 days.
So when it's under after 10 days, it wouldn't be considered for deer anymore? It wouldn't be considered baited anymore?
For deer, when it's harvested or turned under for the purposes of deer, unless you would go out there and gather up or reposition the cobs of corn or the grain, it would not be considered baited for the purposes of deer. The federal interpretation is different. Unless that crop is completely turned under 10 days from that point, and that's the federal interpretation of their baiting laws.
Okay, that's interesting. What and where do those interpretations come from, and how long have they been in place? Is that something that's reviewed constantly, or how does that work?
I'm not 100% sure how often the feds put out their guidelines, but it's readily available on their DNR or their Fish and Wildlife website. It's quite a lengthy document that talks about different things from like taking down wheat and swathing wheat and putting it in rows. And then it also goes into different things like exceptions for like dove hunting, where you can hunt manipulated fields. So it's pretty specific. It goes into a lot of different scenarios related to different agricultural activities. It goes into hunting areas that are aerial seeded. It goes into hunting areas where feed or grain is kept for livestock. So when we get into the waterfowl stuff, I'm going to refer you back to the federal interpretations. But their code is it is what it is. But then they further provide guidance and examples for different types of agricultural scenarios.
Well, what about the state stuff? Like, how often do you guys figure out, let's just say the mowing of corn in the food plots, like how long has that rule been in place?
The deer baiting law has been in place for roughly 20 years, 2007, so almost 20 years. It's had a couple different variations and changes to it. I think 2008 is changed slightly, 2009. The latest version has been in place since 2012. So the baiting law hasn't changed since then, and any changes that would come would be a product of public input, because it is a state statute. It would seek some type of public input from the public through the DNR, and then any change would have to come through the legislature.
So when it comes to like this, the mowing of lanes in food plots, I mean, that's pretty, I mean, the COs across the state of Minnesota, they're all going to have the same, should all have the same opinion on that, right? I mean, that's coming from above. That's essentially what's in the laws that you guys are enforcing.
Yeah, each officer, understands and interprets things differently, but the Division of Enforcement attempts to try and provide clear, direct guidance. And in this situation on the mowing of the food plots and the interpretation that the scattered or distributed grain is now considered bait has been provided to our officers. And hopefully, everybody interpret or understands it the same way. We still have to, treat each situation different. Not every situation is going to be the same. So it almost requires an officer to go and look at each situation, speak with the landowner, the hunter, or the party involved, and then make that determination based on the totality of everything they have in front of them. And then we also have to, present these cases to the county attorneys. And if we have county attorneys that disagree with our interpretation, then ultimately they could dismiss charges. But we work fairly close with all of our prosecutors. Each county, has an elected county attorney. So any case we present for prosecution is typically presented through a county attorney's office. And people that are, involved in baiting situations always have the option to contest their citations and present their case or their side in court.
And it sounds like if you are charged, or you do have, the penalty for deer baiting is a misdemeanor, $300 fine, a 1-year revocation of deer hunting privileges upon conviction, and potential seizure, forfeiture of the firearm or bow used in the offense. And that's beyond you guys, right? You just go investigate it, and then it gets turned over to the attorneys, and that's when something's going to happen to somebody. It's coming from them.
That's correct. As far as the case itself would go, if it is a citation that's issued, like you said, it's a misdemeanor, and we are obligated to seize the firearm at that point. And as Lieutenant Hatlestad had said, that doesn't mean a conviction. The hunting party has the opportunity to contest the citation and bring that forth. And if they were to be found not guilty, obviously the conviction wouldn't stand and the firearm would be returned.
One other question I wanted to ask you guys, because, and then we'll cut you loose here. People think it's weird that you can go into a local sporting goods store and buy some sort of deer attractant that might be a mineral block, but if it has food in it, of some sort. You can't use it in Minnesota, but yet it's sold in Minnesota. People always think that's kind of strange. When it comes to using minerals, salt blocks, things like that, what's legal and what, 'cause like for instance, salt blocks, can you leave those throughout the hunting season? Are those legal to use? What's legal to use and keep out there? And I don't know which one of you guys wants to take that.
I can take it.
Okay.
So if it's a product of specifically salt or mineral only, that is legal to leave out there. That is legal to use, and perfectly fine to leave out throughout the entire year. It's when there's attractants in it, such as grains, fruits. You look at a lot of the products, and people need to understand you need to read the label to see what's in them, because there can be sugar derivatives that are in there that would also, it could be glucose, dextrose, just any kind of sugar, and that would fall under the example of what is bait and what is an attractant that would meet the definition of bait essentially. And so we do have areas throughout the state where putting salt and mineral blocks out are prohibited, because of some of the disease issues. So, it's important for people to understand where you're at and whether or not you can legally actually place the salt or mineral or bait. For example, if a person's going to put a pile of apples out there to maybe get an inventory, we'll say via their trail cameras before the season or before they're going to hunt, it's important to know where you're at and whether or not you're in a feeding ban area.
Sure.
In those zones, even like wicks and scents are illegal, right? Like doe urine and stuff. You put that, did I read that right?
Yeah, they're feeding and attractant bans is what they're called. And they are in anywhere that there's a CWD surveillance or I forget what the other one's called, management and surveillance zone. So there's a number of different places. The best thing I'd suggest is to look at the insert in the hunting regulation. It pretty much breaks it down by the three different types of CWD zones. And in those, you can't have any type of attractant to include the doe scents or anything that would be manufactured.
All right. Well, guys, anything else you want to say about any of these topics or anything else that's come up that is a message you want to get out at all? Or do you just want to get back to work?
Yeah, I guess I'd just say pretty safe deer hunting season so far. So I just ask everybody to practice their gun safety. We've had at least in my area, it's pretty normal, calm season since we've gone to 9-day season. It just seems to have kind of taken the edge off of the firearms deer season, and I just I wish everybody good luck. We got some good weather. Unfortunately, maybe a little too warm for most, but just keep practicing good hunter ethics and keep following the trespass law, because that has been one that seems to be a little more prevalent here the last few days.
Seems like it. There's been. Oh, go ahead. Lieutenant Miller,
just to piggyback off what Wayne is talking about, and we, as far as the hunting season goes, obviously we've got a lot of officers out across the state that are out putting long hours in, doing excellent work, and if we have this opportunity, I want to make sure we recognize the good work they're doing and make the public aware of that, and make sure again that the public is also aware of the fact that they're an extra set of eyes out there to assist us with anything that comes up. And that's why we have TIP. That's why we have programs such as that allow the public to assist us with that. And again, just for the public to stay safe and the hunters continue to practice good firearms handling. So,
for sure. All right, guys. Well, I know people like to poke fun at Mr. Green Jeans out there, but I want to say thank you for your service. I think it's important. Your particular line of law enforcement probably doesn't get the thanks as much as some of the other ones. So it's important work, and I want to thank you guys for doing it. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Anything else that you want to say, Dan?
No, just piggyback off that. Thank you, and you guys do a lot of cool things between game and fish enforcement and helping with other law enforcement. And I know we've seen some game wardens on some fire calls even, so appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Lieutenant Wayne Hatlestad, Lieutenant Dustin Miller. Appreciate the time today on the show. Thanks, guys.
Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world, is calling out to you. From the Northwest Angle to the South Shore and Rainy River, this is the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleyes, sauger, perch, northern pike, and eelpout. The fishing on Lake of the Woods is like a world of its own. Experience the most amazing fishing through one of the many full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper fish house options. For more information, go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism joins us now here on the show. Joe, how's it going?
Bret, it's going very well. Heck, it's deer hunting season in Minnesota, and it's always a very special time of the year, as you know, and it's cool. It's really neat time. People are hunting. Some people are fishing still. As you said before, this season's way too short, and there's too much going on.
It's the best time of year. It's tough, and we were wondering. Dan and I were sitting around here before the show started, and we were just kind of trying to figure out. I mean, it could be a deer blind, could be a fish house, but you wonder how many people have gotten a little romantic in a fish house or a deer blind or something like that.
So we put that post out on Lake of the Woods Tourism's Facebook page, and it's a real nice photo of a fish house that one of you guys took, and when we're up on our Northwest Angle trip, actually, and but it's a really neat photo right at sunset. And of course, I just asked the question. I'm kind of naive, and I just asked the question.
Okay.
I think anybody's ever gotten romantic in a fish house, and I think we had a reach of about 250,000 people.
Yeah. Oh, there it is, right there.
Well, of course,
Bret, let me ask you a question. Do you think anybody ever has, or no?
No, because every person is very serious about fishing when they go ice fishing. They don't drink beer. They don't play cards. They're just focused on the hole and their jigging cadence. There's nothing.
I'm not going to comment on that.
The hole.
Lots of focusing going on in the fish house.
So what you're telling me is you can't be serious and romantic at the same time.
Oh, no, it's all shenanigans otherwise. No,
Okay.
It's fishing's serious business, Joe.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Serious.
Danny, you taking notes?
Serious business.
I'm not listening. I'm tuning this one out.
That's why,
let me know when we start talking fishing.
Yeah,
That's why
in fairness, Danny, both Bret and I have a few years on you. Technically, we could be called mentors. Now, be careful of what you let in those little ears. That's
what I'm saying. I'm like, we're letting my brain filter be selective as to what's going in the ear and what's coming out and what's not coming out the other.
One could say
I have a feeling somebody's grandparents listen to the show. Somebody's parents listen to the show.
That's what I'm going to just hang back here and press some buttons.
I was going to say that you could say that's why we're single, because we're so focused on fishing constantly, or hunting for that matter. There's no time for the shenanigans, Joe Henry.
That's one perspective.
That's my excuse anyway. I'm going with it.
Well, Bret, I haven't seen you smile this big in a long time.
Yeah, well, it's because I'm always too focused on fishing. All right, the guys are focused on fishing right now in the Rainy River still, Joe, it sounds like. And it's, we say it every year during the deer season, waterfowl gets good, other hunting opportunities get good, fishing also gets good, and water is obviously wide open up there, and people are catching fish.
They are, yeah. And I pulled up just for fun when I was putting the fishing report together this week. I do a fishing report every single week, and we try to keep it really as accurate as possible for both all three, the Rainy River, the south end of the Lake of the Woods, and of course the Northwest Angle. And when I pulled the fishing report up this week and started creating it, I was doing making a few phone calls and stuff. And I pulled up the webcam for Borderview Lodge, because that webcam overlooks the Rainy River. It's really kind of neat to see what's going on. And there was a boat out anchored up our spot locked across the river jigging, and there was another boat coming in. There it is, yep. And another boat coming into Wheeler's Point Access. It looks like he was coming from either 4 Mile Bay or the mouth of the river, or maybe even out on the lake out in front of the Lighthouse Gap. But nonetheless, there's only a couple boats out, but that's not surprising because so many anglers like deer hunting. And of course, for people that are out of the state of Minnesota, it's the Minnesota gun season started this past Saturday. And you know what? It's a very special time. I mean, deer hunting is such a short season that we all want to take advantage of it. it's hard, man, because fishing's also really, really good right now. And I can tell you that the fish are absolutely snapping both on the lake and on the river. I mean, it's been darn good.
Looks like a beautiful afternoon there right now.
There it is live. Yeah. See, a little bit of wind today, isn't there? Look at that flag. So it'd be a good day to fish the river. You know, the lake might be a little bouncy, but yeah, there's nobody out, and it's a nice day. I mean, it's a very nice warm weather day, and I know there's the river's loaded. All the reports are really good, and it's one of those deals. I will say that we have a lot of fish staged across that entire South Shore. Places like the Lighthouse Gap, Pine Island, Morris Point Gap, Zipple Bay, Long Point area, a couple different spots around Long Point, Twin Islands. I mean, that whole South Shore, that's those areas are where a lot of our resorts will be running their ice roads and ice trails out for early ice when times are appropriate. And we're going to have a good early ice bite again. That just the numbers are there to prove it, and those fish are in those locations. Same thing with the Northwest Angle. I mean, some of the jigging going on the American side where most of the ice fishing happens up at the Angle in the winter, of course. Some of those spots there's a lot of fish around. So it's going to be really good starting out, and with the population of walleyes and saugers, and of course, you guys know firsthand jumbo perch we have right now. It's going to be a good ice fishing year. I really believe so.
I wonder what we would have been able to see on that webcam of the Northern Lights last night up there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. That would have been really fun to look at. Did you see that post that Bostic Bay Luxury Ice Cabin sent in to me? Look at that photo.
Oh, dang.
Isn't that pretty? I mean, I saw a lot of Northern Lights photos on social media today because, I think they hit the whole state practically. But, boy, I'll tell you what. The whole country. Look at that. Look at those colors. And that's coming across that thin ice on Bostic Bay. Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Reds last night, the last couple of years, I feel like where we're at, kind of that southwestern part of the state, we've had a couple of good shows the last few years, but the Reds last night were insane, even down here. And I know I heard, Dan, you said something about Mississippi, I think.
Yep.
And I think Florida, a lot of people in Las Vegas were kind of seeing them outside the lights. And,
those are casino lights.
Yeah. They're seeing something completely different.
Well, if you can see the Reds and the Northern Lights, then you know they're good because you see black and white. So
yeah, I see a little bit of red, and I could see them. And of course, through your phone, between our Canon cameras or the iPhones, it was amazing the colors that came out last night. And we were duck hunting, and we came back, and I think you saw a headline or something about it, and I had a notification on my phone, so we were. There's a wild game. I'm trying to edit this whitetail video that I've been working on, and you were going to cook up some of the mallards that we shot, that you shot, and all of a sudden it was like, put on the brakes, get the camera, throw the tripods up. Mother Nature's putting a show on for us right now. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It is cool. Yeah, they predicted that too. It was all over. I heard it a couple times on the radio that they predicted this could happen, and never for sure thing with Northern Lights. But they actually said I think tonight could be a good night too, if I'm not mistaken. So
I heard that when we're recording this on Wednesday the 12th, and I heard tonight could be another good one. So it's some sort of big geomagnetic storm, and I don't know. I was listening to another show, and they were talking about how it can mess with your brain activity a little bit too, and it's like making birds fly in circles or something.
Follow the science.
I'm not quite sure, how that all works, but crazy things happening right now, Joe. And
hey, Bret, I was going to ask you. I had a question for you. You posted on social media a picture of that. I think it was a doe that had her ears missing on top. Mm-hmm. You thinking that's from a harsh winter, hey?
So I've had a few people respond to that reel that I put up. Immediately we thought it was frostbite, like she had a tough winter. Somebody else commented that was a cattle rancher and said that they've had calves born during a real cold spell or cold winter, and their ears get frostbite early on, and then they're just kind of born with it and live with it the rest of their lives. So I don't know if this I don't know if this happened when the doe was an adult or what might have happened there, but yeah, it's pretty wild. We had her on a number of trail cam pictures and videos, so she seems to be doing just fine. You can see, and if you watch this one and one of the other videos that I've got of her, you can see her ears turning, like she still uses them to hear, and Probably can't hear quite as well because she doesn't have that big radar dish up there anymore, but still seems to be functioning just fine.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. It's part of deer hunting. I mean, we've talked about this before, but getting out there in the woods or wherever you hunt, and some people really are bound and determined to get harvest deer, and I'll certainly harvest a deer. I shot a doe already this year, and gave that to the farmer that we hunt his land. But that's a piece of it, a small piece. For me, man, I'll tell you, like a lot of us and a lot of the listeners, we go hard, and to be able to have to slow down for a few hours and go sit and do it in a tree or a ground blind and just enjoy nature. Boy, it's good. It's good for the soul. I mean, I was thinking about an opening day. It was in the 20s, it's chilly, and chickadees, red squirrel, gray, swans, diver ducks, geese, golden eagles. I saw one area of a cornfield that I saw some scat that looked almost like bear scat. And then there was an area where I'm like, wow, look at how the deer have just freaking flattened these corn stalks. What the heck? So I talked to the farmer. He goes, no, that's a black bear.
Yeah.
Those black bears, I understand, will roll in that corn and just flatten out the stalks, which makes sense because I've never seen deer flatten stalks. They pick the corn off, but that was kind of interesting to see, and
bears.
But again, right? You know how it is. I mean, when you're out there, you see so much.
First, ferocious as they are, which black bears really aren't. There's definitely been cases of attacks here and there, but for the most part, black bears are going to run away from you. I joke all the time. Our buddy Barry Prawley's punched one in the face. And I've heard a few bear punching stories from people before, and it's usually black bears, young black bears. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to catch a claw from one of them, but usually they're big babies. So you can just imagine this big lazy bear just like pulling down corn stalks to eat the corn off, and then rolling over, scratching his belly, maybe giving the backside a scratch too, and then grabbing another corn. They'll just flatten a whole area of corn stalks out there.
Yeah, it's kind of your rendition is actually pretty interesting.
Oh, I've done it.
You've practiced that before.
Yeah, right? We've seen it a little bit. Yeah, I haven't. I know, but where we deer hunt in Wisconsin, they've walked up on. We're trying to track deer through standing cornfields. This is a whole other story. But walked up on deer bears just sitting on their hindquarters, sitting there grabbing corn stalks, and apparently didn't care to go after the wounded deer, but was enjoying a nice corn meal and scared the crap out of our uncles.
They're omnivores, right? But obviously the corn was easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I thought you said, when you said we've seen it, I thought you were talking about me rolling around. Like I've done it with Cheetos, like rolled around just stuffing.
I need a new job.
Yeah, Danny, here's what I'm thinking. When he does that rendition of himself rolling around like a bear and scratching his tummy and grabbing, he brought up the word shenanigans earlier in regards to fishing and being romantic in a fish house, and somehow I think the whole bear rendition, being
that might be why I'm single with no kids.
Shenanigans for Bret kind of all fit.
It all comes full circle in the end.
I need help.
Yep, that's the truest thing you've said all day.
You got the St. Paul Ice Show. We are thinking about ice. People are booking their ice fishing trips to Lake of the Woods now. You're going to be down in St. Paul for the show again. People can come up and ask questions. So they're there, maybe learn something.
Yep, Lake of the Woods will have that booth right below the escalator. And in fact, it's right across from the bar. And, so if a Lake of the Woods tourism booth isn't a draw already, it is right across from the bar. And we will be giving away an ice fishing trip to Kenmore Key Resort. So you might want to come and check that out. It's just, all you got to do is just, enter your name and your email address. We add you to our newsletter. That's the price you pay for putting your hat in the ring for a beautiful, beautiful ice fishing trip this year. And it's gonna be a good show. I mean, it's people are already pumped, and it's perfect timing. It's right after deer hunting, and that's kind of the next thing us outdoors people look for, right?
And if they can't make it to the show but want to learn a little bit more about ice fishing up at Lake of the Woods, there's a bunch of stuff on the website. Some new stuff. We
really updated our ice fishing page on the Lake of the Woods Tourism's website, and we got everything on there from specifically which outfitters and resorts offer day houses, which ones have sleeper houses, We got a whole bunch of how-to videos for people that maybe come up and use some of our full-service resorts and outfitters that provide everything, but maybe they haven't ice fished before. So then they can go and look at the videos in the bottom for the how-to. Things like the 1-2 punch, where you jig one line and dead stick the other one, and just different things like that. It just, we try to be as helpful as possible, but we've had some nice comments on it, put it that way.
I recognize a few of those pictures on there too, and some of those people in those photos, as a matter of fact. Very cool. All right. Well, Joe, why don't you give us that website? If they want more information about a fall trip, summer trip, ice fishing trip to Lake of the Woods, what should they do?
They should check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Thanks for listening to the Fish Hunt Forever show. Download the Fish Hunt Forever podcast wherever you get podcasts or watch on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. If you like today's show, please give us a 5-star review. Find past shows, articles, news about regulations, and more at fishhuntforever.com.